All right. All right. So to go ahead and get started, I know many of you have been on this before. Jose, Rudy, really glad that you could join us. And just kind of an overview today, we're going to be covering the OneCloud ecosystem or all of our solutions. There's a lot to it. We have a lot of different things. So we'll be covering a lot of that at a high level. If you do have something you need some more detail on or want to dive into it a little bit deeper, feel free to reach out to me directly. If I can't answer the question, I can connect you with Can. So again, unlocking the power of OneCloud. My name is Ben. My role within the organization is product evangelism. I do quite a bit around here. I've been with the company for about 15 years, starting out as a cable technician. So I worked and pulled cable, in new construction, under buildings, and some environments that a lot of people don't want to be in, and learned a lot about the physical layer of networking and communications. Work my way up through our service department, started working with phone systems, Nortel, Comdial, Avaya on-premise systems. Learned a lot about that, but let's say 2018, 2019, a lot of things started moving to the cloud. And I had to shift my understanding and knowledge over to more of an IT-based or network supporting role, because most cloud-based communications now, networking is a key component. Fortunately, working with OneCloud over the years, I've had a lot of room for growth, a lot of opportunity to learn. We've been a very fast-growing company, so in turn, if you want to take something on and learn about it, you're more than welcome. But expect some stuff to get offloaded on you too. But it's been a great learning experience, and an honor to be part of this company as we've grown. And a little bit about OneCloud. What is OneCloud? So OneCloud is more than a UCaaS provider. UCaaS being Unified Communications as a Service or communications software that helps your company communicate more efficiently. So our role is to build solid relationships with our customers, create some tailored solutions, things that are unique to each customer instead of just out of the box, and to continue to create. Many of you have seen things like our OneCloud Connect client. We're always innovating, always improving that, and making it better for everyone. From doing things like CRM integrations or even screen pops or AI summary transcription, there's a lot of innovation that happens. Now, our organization has been around since the 80s. There was a large breakup of a telecommunications giant at that time, and some folks came together and created an organization called Catskill Communications. At that time, Catskill Communications focused on more structured cabling and on-premise PBXs, which were there was a lot of wires that went into making them work at that time. And then as technology evolved, we evolved into an organization called Telware. Telware is still our parent company. That's where I cut my teeth and started out. Their focus now at this time is more infrastructure. So we're again talking structured cabling, building out data closets, MDFs, IDFs, redundant fiber optic loops, overhead paging, white noise, outside paging systems, CCTV, mounting a lot of different things. So anything that is on the physical layer or that communication needs to ride across, that's where Telware really, really shines. As that organization and technology grew even further and we moved to the cloud, OneCloud was born as we started doing software development. Back in what was 2019, 2020 when COVID, 2021 when COVID really took off, there was a huge push to cloud communications. And fortunately, we were already there on the edge, starting to have our own cloud, our own data centers, and our own software. But moving to the cloud, there was a lot of gaps, and those gaps were taking that traditional on-premise hardware with physical connections and cards and all types of things that connected, and moving to them to the cloud was not that easy. And that's where we really wanted to try to shine or create those tailored solutions. As an organization, we started focusing and offering solutions like POTS replacement or analog lines, which are now being phased out. Faxing solutions with the analog lines going away. Faxing is still a thing. A lot of people thought it would die, but it's still there. We are a registered carrier with the FCC, so we provide dial tone. If you you just need SIP trunks. We offer mass notification solutions. There were things like schools that needed to page and send out information before on-premise. Now that it's in the cloud, it's a little bit more to making that work. We also do things like mobile or eSIM, so you can have a mobile phone as well as Microsoft Teams Operator Connect certified partner, and we can work directly within Microsoft Teams. Top 3 reasons you're here today. So we want to discover how you can cut costs and modernize. A lot of organizations have not made it to the cloud yet, or they are still paying for third-party or tertiary services like faxing or notification, or they're still dealing with analog lines and they're not sure how to do that yet. Today, we'll talk about some of the solutions that we offer that will allow an organization to modernize those solutions and consolidate them into one vendor. We'll explore our communications ecosystem. So we're going to talk about voice, talk about video, SMS, paging, contact centers, Teams integrations, CRM, data syncing, which is really quite popular, and all under one roof. We're adding into that our own flavor of AI. We have that from creating some amazing marketing on hold music that's all automated to an AI agent that actually can sit on your phone system and take and manage all of your calls for you, or at least send them in the right direction effectively. And also the goal is to find the right tools for your team. So if you're supporting some remote teams or managing a large scale contact center and you need some better visibility or control, hopefully today we'll be able to clarify that for you. On our agenda, we will be covering POTS replacement, Alert Blast, Secure Fax, talk about Microsoft Teams, our mobile solutions, our 2 flavors of contact centers, and we'll also jump into our OneCloud Connect and integrations, and lastly, talk about what a transition to any of these solutions would look like. To get started is our POTS replacement. So POTS stands for plain old telephone service. And a lot of devices, legacy devices such as fire alarms, some fax alarms, some tools that would be for remote access or monitoring stations still utilize analog lines. Lots of municipalities and things along those lines. And about 3 years ago, the FCC told carriers they no longer need to support that legacy hardware. The carriers didn't just shut people off, but they did want to move people off of that. So if you're ever driving down the road and you saw the little posts sticking up on the side of the road and there's a bunch of wires hanging out on it, somebody hit it. Those were analog lines. And when somebody knocks that over or breaks those wires, well, now a bunch of phones don't work or alarms don't work. The carriers were tired of supporting that. So in turn, what they did is started to jack up the prices of those lines for individuals who are using them. So we're talking $130, $200, $300 a month. I spoke to somebody in California a few weeks back, and they had a customer who was paying $1,500 a month just for an elevator line. Now, as those carriers started jacking up the prices, they also just turned them off sometimes, and it left some folks in a difficult situation. Some of those use cases would be healthcare facilities, assisted living communities, manufacturing facilities. And, if you're paying $1,500 a month just for an elevator line, that's egregious and can definitely, be a big problem to the bottom line. And a lot of companies don't know how to migrate. How do I easily get off of this solution? So we offer a POTS replacement solution that is geared to meet a lot of specifications. So one, it is certified in any state in the United States of America, and primarily because of some of the technology that powers it. Now, you're looking at a diagram of our POTS replacement solution, and the first thing you're going to see is the enclosure. We have a couple of different enclosures. This one in particular is a NEMA or weatherproof enclosure. So depending on where you're going to deploy your line, so if this is a monitoring station that might be somewhere that could be exposed to the weather, having something that is weatherproof is really important. In it, you're going to see that we have this POTS box. This is essentially an ATA, but it's got some pretty cool technology baked into it. I'll come back to that. You've got a battery backup. This can be stacked if needed to, allowing you for more than 48 hours of uninterruptible power. You've got an RJ21X. This is for breaking out the lines. However, it is not always necessary. And then you've got your cellular routers. Cool thing about the cellular routers is they do have the ability to offer dual SIM. So that means in this particular device, let's say if it's in a remote area as a monitoring station, you can have Verizon and you can have AT&T cellular signals. So if Verizon goes down, AT&T can continue to work, or if AT&T goes down, it'll continue to work. You'll also notice that you have this little antenna here. If needed, depending on where you deploy it, you have the ability to extend the reach of the antenna for LTE. It will work on your local area network if needed. But again, if power goes out or something like that, you want to have that ability to have it still up and running if the power's out, which is the battery backup. And the redundant SIMs is huge. Now, I live in a small town, and if the power goes out in the small town, the cellular tower is on top of the local water tower, and Verizon quits completely. But I also have an AT&T device, and that continues to work. So that's a great use case as to why having that redundancy of not only battery backup, but dual SIMs is helpful. Now, back to our little ATA here. Here's some cool things about this. Now, first of all, a lot of legacy equipment like alarm lines or some of the older facilities that have alarm lines, when they are faced with having to change their analog lines, a lot of times they have to deal with the fact that they might need to upgrade their alarm equipment. And in turn, replacing a fire panel or replacing an alarm panel, you can be looking at $5,000 to $7,000 just for the hardware, not even including the dial tone itself. One of the cool things about our device is it works really, really well with legacy equipment. One of those key factors is that the older panels actually look for what's called voltage, or actual power that's on those lines, and that is what it uses to detect that that line is active and working. A lot of the new ATAs or some replacements for analog lines do not provide voltage, which would make those legacy panels obsolete and force somebody to upgrade. Our device is able to deliver that voltage. It's also customizable, so you can increase or decrease that voltage, but it will actually auto-negotiate as well. So it's trying to identify and communicate with that panel as efficiently as possible. Now, another piece of the secret sauce for us as well is the fact that we can actually intercept what's called a contact ID. So if we're looking at a newer panel, when you change the analog line on that panel, it actually breaks some information that gets sent out to the emergency center. So the panel knows what number to dial, but when it seizes that line and dials out, it's actually sending a different DID or caller ID. And this can impact what the emergency center receives on their end. What we can do is when that panel actually dials out, we can intercept that call and input the correct contact ID or information into that call packet. So when it goes out and gets sent to the emergency contact center, everything is how it should be. What's important about that is we actually don't need to open the panel. So one of the things that makes us certified in any state is we don't need to be an alarm technician to open this panel and make it work. We could just change out the line, intercept that call, and put in the correct information. By doing that, it ensures that the call is going to be completed. And again, with the LTE, it actually goes out to a UL listed data center, which is certified for different environments and E911 communication. So POTS replacement fills in a lot of voids, though. You can use it for pool phones, elevator lines, monitoring stations, fire panels. There's a lot of use cases for it still out there. And I believe that our tool pretty much really sets it apart. Now, one of the bigger things, too, is that we actually offer it for starting at $30 a line, which, again, if you're paying that $1,500 a month at $30 a line, and the increased technology is a pretty big one. So with that said, we offer Alert Blast. Alert Blast is our omni-channel mass notification solution. And by that, I mean its primary goal or responsibility is to be able to send out a large amount of notifications or updates across multiple different channels within seconds. So we're talking, I can send out emails, I can send out SMS or text messages, I can send out voice calls, If any of you have children and a bus is running late, you might get a notification from the school, or even lockdowns, for example, that can all be automated using Alert Blast. Additional pieces is it is very API friendly. So with that, what it means is that if you have devices, let's say doors that have an auto locking device on them or overhead paging, it can integrate directly with those softwares. So for example, if you sent out an alert that said, evacuate the building, at the same time, Alert Blast would be able to send a notification to your door controller to unlock or release all doors. So it's a pretty cool solution. And one of the ways that I always like to explain this is, let's say if you're a large manufacturing facility, and in that facility on the manufacturing floor, it's noisy, it's loud, and people aren't in front of devices or using their devices. So making a phone call to them during an emergency or sending them a text message or email, not going to be very beneficial. But in this large facility, you might have some administrative staff and some quiet offices who are in front of a computer and phone. You might have some folks who are on lunch, and then you might have some remote employees. How do you let all of them know in all of those different environments of something that's going on? And Alert Blast is a great way to do that. So for the employees who are on lunch or in the admin office or even remote, you can do a series of telephone calls, SMS, which is a text message, or emails, alerting them that something is occurring. But those folks on the manufacturing floor who are in it, working with machinery and things like that, it's a little bit harder. So as I mentioned, the open API and the ability to connect to different devices, with Alert Blast, you're able to notify across things like wallboards or televisions. You can broadcast across overhead paging, even integrate some things such as a strobe light above. So something happens at that large manufacturing facility, you can notify all of the individuals, regardless of their location, geographic location, or work environment, at the same time of an event. This can be done within seconds and gets everybody on the same page. So your safety and security team isn't trying to run around and wrangle everybody up and make sure that everything's clear. They're still going to do that clear, of course, right? That's part of their job. But a clean and simple, efficient way to communicate that is, the way that Alert Blast really thrives. Another example, just on a smaller case, would be our CTO, who's very security minded, but also he has a lot on his plate. We run a lot of different nodes and a lot of different softwares at the same time, and all of that has to be monitored and maintained. Sizes, the size of storage, the amount of processing speeds, all kinds of things tie into this. And with Alert Blast, he created notifications from some of our nodes that would say, hey, we've got an issue. I've got this error. It's not urgent, but somebody needs to look at it. So he can take that particular error and have it send an email to his engineering support team to generate an email that it can be turned into a ticket to be looked at first thing in the morning. So the error is not missed. Somebody doesn't have to catch it and then try and figure out what's going on. There's some automation in place that will automatically get the right people looking at it, but it's not mission critical. But if you do get a mission critical alert, you need somebody looking at that right away. So again, with Alert Blast and its APIs, it can trigger a way to make phone calls and send text messages to, let's say, their on-call team. So within seconds of getting a certain notification or error on the server, that information can be sent out to the on-call team, and we can have somebody looking at it right away. Very critical for our customers, especially if we don't want them suffering due to downtime or something going on with software. Time is money, so the quicker we can automate that, the better. Moving on from there is our Secure Fax platform. Now, Secure Fax, we offer 3 different flavors. With that, faxing has evolved greatly. A lot of people think faxing was going to die, as I mentioned, but it's still kicking around. It's still doing its thing, and there's a lot of different verticals and organizations that still use it. Healthcare firms, legal firms is a big one. IRS, also a very, very big one. I spend a lot of time dealing with some health organizations, and to transfer health information from one hospital to another, let's say they're different networks, that takes some time. And the only way to this day that HIPAA still allows them to do that is if they can send a fax. It's called a stat request, and it has to go through faxing. So there's still a lot of different use cases for it. We offer it, as I mentioned, in 3 different ways. So we offer standard cloud faxing, which would be an ATA, or an analog telephony adapter, that could connect to the back of a physical fax machine. This would allow you to continue using your traditional faxing hardware to send and receive messages via fax if needed. We offer email to fax, fax to email. So this would be essentially a fax number that when somebody sent a fax to that telephone number, it would show up in your email as a file. Or you would create an email and attach a file and send it to a particular fax number. It goes out to the fax server, mitigates that information, and sends it along or receives it. So this way you don't need that physical hardware of the fax machine any longer, and that faxing just goes via email, much easier to send back and forth. Lastly is our HIPAA compliant web portal, which is also we call our secure fax portal. Our secure fax portal is what we feel is our more HIPAA compliant portal. The reason being is in that portal, we do encrypt all of that faxing information, and there's an added layer of security by logging into it. Now, if it's tied into OneCloud directly, which it can be, you can utilize SSO or single sign-on to get into it. But it does allow you to have a separate portal to manage all of your faxes in one place, and allows you to have up to 5 additional users managing those faxes. In healthcare, it is still very, very, very prominent and something that is used quite frequently. So again, if you're needing some type of a faxing solution, we offer 3 across the board. Most UCaaS providers do not. And if it's something that most organizations need, we're certainly there to assist with it. Now, the first solutions that I covered, the Alert Blast, the Secure Fax, as well as our POTS replacement, those are all independent and they stand alone. You do not need OneCloud, any type of UCaaS or CCaaS for that to work. So if you just need a POTS replacement, or you just need some type of an analog line, we can offer that to you with nothing else tied onto it. Moving on from there is OneCloud for Microsoft Teams. So we are a certified Microsoft Operator Connect partner. And what does that mean? That means that we spent a lot of time jumping through hoops for Microsoft to approve us to deliver dial tone directly to the Microsoft Azure data centers. They're very stringent in their requirements, which meaning that we had to have very, very minimal latency. We had to have very, very solid jitter or no jitter, and a very, very high uptime. So they had some high standards that we had to meet in order for us to be able to deliver dial tone directly to Microsoft. Operator Connect essentially allows us to deliver dial tone directly to the Microsoft Office 365 environment. So if you're using something like Microsoft Teams, you're able to change your dial tone carrier, which would be us, where you can have a direct to carrier relationship, find a little bit of savings there, a little bit of support, but all calls and all communications are handled directly within Microsoft Teams. So all of your auto attendants, call routing, voicemail, all of that under an Operator Connect situation is in with Microsoft Teams. Direct routing has been around a little bit longer. It is more of a hybrid type environment. And by that, essentially, if you have an organization that requires both Microsoft Teams and direct routing, Microsoft Teams and some OneCloud solutions, such as a contact center, it's way easier to do that. For example, a call would come in using direct routing, and maybe you have a call center. And on that call center, you need your agents to be able to log in and out of call queues for analytics, accounting, call recording. But your C-level only needs Microsoft Teams. They don't need any of those bells and whistles. We can do that with a direct routing environment where essentially Microsoft Teams just becomes an extension on the OneCloud platform, and the call center can remain its own world, but they can see each other and transfer calls back and forth. Another benefit of the direct routing is because calls are routing across our communications platform directly. Even if you are using Teams, we're able to capture call recordings. We're able to capture analytics and data. We're able to capture sentiment analysis, as well as do back-end CRM integrations, which means if you have Salesforce and you want to log every call without an agent manually doing it, we can certainly do that. Moving on from there is OneCloud Mobile. This is one of my cooler features. I'm a big fan of OneCloud Mobile. And essentially what it does is it allows you to take an ordinary cell phone and turn it into a UCaaS or into an extension on a system without having to use an app, right? So many of you, maybe you've used an app for your company, and when you open your cell phone, you have to find that app, open it, and dial out from there. Or when you receive a call, it comes in, it's going to pop an app. So some organizations wanted to eliminate some of that, or maybe are some organizations that have a large service or sales fleet, and they've got company provided phones that are in the field. With OneCloud Mobile, essentially you are bringing all of your cellular communication, such as LTE data and all of your cellular calling, into OneCloud itself, so into the OneCloud environment. So instead of having a third party like Verizon, OneCloud would handle all of that calling, all of that routing, and it would all be done within one portal or one place. This can be done with a physical SIM or an eSIM. And the benefit of, let's say, an eSIM is maybe you have a personal phone and you don't want to use it for business, or maybe you don't want to download the app onto that phone. We can put on an eSIM, and essentially you can delineate between different contacts on your phone. So if I make an outbound call, I can say that this is a business call, and when I make that outbound call, it sends my DID or direct dial number. This way, it keeps everything within the business, and it also stays within OneCloud. So again, you've got that call recording, sentiment analysis, analytics, CRM integration, and more. We decided to do this as an organization. LTE was a big thing for us. When we install some of our systems, depending on the environment, we handle their network. That would mean routers, switches, access points. And we had some customers that needed an option if, let's say, their coax or internet went out. This is a busy pizza joint. They needed to keep operating on a Friday night and keep business rolling. So what we started doing is LTE failover. So if the internet goes over, it can fail over to LTE or cellular, allowing an organization to continue operating and making calls. From there, we decided to move that into how can I take a cell phone and make it a extension on the OneCloud system. We used ourselves as the first test environment. At that time, we were using Verizon. Great service, nothing against it, but we had our own phone system with our own numbers. But anytime we needed to add a cell phone, change a cell phone, move a number, somebody lost a cell phone, somebody quit, for example, and took their cell phone with them, we had no way to manage that number anymore. So bringing it all onto one platform was step one that allowed us to have a lot more quality control. But secondly, by cutting out the middleman, which was Verizon, and again, nothing against Verizon, but as an organization, we were saving around $2,000 a month. So from a business perspective, if you are providing things like company provided cell phones, you are not only consolidating and increasing the quality and security of customer communications by bringing everything into one place, because you've got call recording and accountability, but now you're eliminating a lot of costs. And $2,000 a month isn't anything to, kind of shake your head at. That's quite a bit of money. So there's a lot of value here in what OneCloud Mobile can offer. And again, if it's a service team or a sales team, on the service side, we have techs that are going out in the field. And when they get to a customer site, they have to call and check in. And we can log all of that communication invisibly into a CRM to ensure that we log that touch point. So there's a lot of benefits to the way that this works in keeping everything within a company. Moving on from there is OneCloud CX. So now this is where we're talking contact centers or large contact centers. With communication, you've got UCaaS, which is Unified Communications as a Service, and then you've got CCaaS, which is Contact Center or Call Center as a Service. UCaaS is designed to allow a business to communicate more efficiently. So internally, we're talking quick video conferencing, present, so I can see what my colleagues are doing, easy to call them, I can chat, I can have different types of channels and communication so we can all work together and collaborate quicker and more efficiently. CCaaS, or Contact Center as a Service, is a way that your customers can communicate with your business more efficiently. For example, within OneCloud CX, this is an omni-channel contact center, which means it allows you to take all of your communication from web chat social media, email, phone calls, video conferencing, or even texting, and bring it into one contact center where all of your agents can communicate with your customers. It's kind of a big deal. In some cases, we had one particular customer who only did, they only had voice on their system. They needed some things done, added in web chat, and they were really, really surprised to see that they actually opened up a lot of additional potential revenue and sale opportunity by meeting the customer where they were. There's a lot of different generations out there now moving into different roles, and we all like to communicate a little bit differently. So some folks will only take a phone call or make a phone call. Some folks won't answer a call. They just want to use web chat on somebody's website or even something as simple as texting. And OneCloud CX allows you to do that. But in addition to the fact that it allows that omni-channel, all of that communication that pours in allows you to QA or ensure that the quality is met. So you can monitor that information, look at agent performance, web chat times, call times, email times, resolution times. So there's a lot there that really helps improve and provide some coaching opportunities. But you also have things like API integration. API integration allows you to capture information from a customer or request information from your customer via API directly through the call center. So somebody calls in and they select an option, and that option says, please enter in, I don't know, your social security number or the last four of the social. By doing that, it actually can pull some information from the CRM. It's going to know a little bit more about you now. And then when it routes that call, it can put pertinent information in front of the agent. Comes with things such as screen pops, scripts, automatic QA, and has a very robust outbound calling campaign. Some of the cooler things now, though, is they are integrating in AI into this. So you can actually have an AI that'll sit on the edge and assist in taking your inbound calls, assist in your web chats, assist in texting, or even on social media. And they can take that information, make suggestions to your customers, make suggestions from knowledge bases, or even triage that customer's issue and route them accordingly, which is a pretty cool tool. And then additionally, you have things such as workforce management. In some call centers, let's say a very large scale contact center, you could have 400 or 500 agents at once. And in that environment, you need to manage their schedules, manage what those folks are doing. And there's normally an individual who is doing that and coordinating those schedules. With OneCloud CX and the AI automation, it can actually look at your call history, trends over holidays, over periods of time, and automatically make those modifications to all of those schedules without having somebody having to intervene. So there's a lot of benefits to what CX itself can do. And it is somebody that I was talking to a short while ago there said this is the Terminator of solutions, and it really is. There's a lot that it can do. It has a ton of flexibility. So if you're looking for that next level of contact center, or you're looking to do more with less, CX can really help you get there. Lastly is our OneCloud. Excuse me. Lastly is OneCloud UCaaS. So as I mentioned, UCaaS stands for Unified Communications as a Service. We have a platform that allows you to do all of your communication internally within one place and make all of your phone calls. Um, Over the years, a lot has changed in communication. So a lot of folks used to go to portals to log in and do a lot of their communications. Now everything resides within OneCloud Connect, which I'll show you in a minute. But our UCaaS portal comes with all of the bells and the whistles that you would expect. We have a couple of different seat costs. You have a simple user, which would be something basic where maybe you don't need all the bells and whistles of video conferencing or chatting and things like that. But some of the cool things that we are building into it are things like sentiment analysis. Sentiment analysis can listen to your calls and give you an idea, was that a positive interaction or a negative interaction? We've got it built where it can it can integrate into a lot of different CRMs. So most major CRMs these days, such as Salesforce or HubSpot, Zoho, right out of the box. So a OneCloud Modern User Seat. If you are a Zoho or HubSpot user, and if you are a HubSpot user, would love to hear from you because I'm trying to do some back-end testing. Love to get some folks who want to volunteer. It is all tied into one place. I mentioned we talked about POTS replacement, mass notification with alert blast, and faxing. All of that can actually tie into OneCloud as well with a simple click of a button. So you're bringing in Teams, mobile, faxing, mass notification all into one place. So we are truly a unified communications platform. We don't have third-party tools that you have to connect to. Everything is within one ecosystem, and that's really how we designed it. One of our coolest tools that we've released and continue to develop is OneCloud Connect. OneCloud Connect is a single agnostic pane of glass where you can do all of your communications. So you can see here, I can have my chat. Within chats, you can do chats and channels. Chat is kind of a one-on-one. Or I'm able to SMS or text individuals outside of my organization using Connect. Or I can have a channel. And a channel would be like a sales team or a support team where teams can collaborate internally on some issues, regardless of their geographic location, and get answers. Additionally, in there, you're going to have your video conferencing. So if I needed to set up a meeting, all of you today who have joined are on our OneCloud Connect video conferencing platform. I can quickly set up a meeting, schedule a meeting, or join one directly from the OneCloud Connect platform. And you can make all of your calling. So some of the cool things with the calling is yes, of course, you can make all of your calls in or out. But with our tools, we have baked in things like screen pop. So if you do have Salesforce, for example, or HubSpot, you can configure OneCloud Connect to automatically pop contact cards or information from your CRM. So call comes in, takes that caller ID, sends an API request over to your CRM. It'll dip that, populate the contact information. So now I know who I'm talking to, and all of that was just automated right through OneCloud Connect. So there's a lot of really cool tools that are baked into it. Additionally is with OneCloud, now I did talk about OneCloud CX, we do have a native contact center or call center. If you're looking for something that's more small to medium enterprise, we have that with reporting and analytics, and any of your agents would be utilizing that out of OneCloud Connect as well. So they can log in and out of queues, they can set their status, and they can also see their daily stats. So there's a lot of cool pieces baked into that. And I did want to quickly talk about our new OneCloud AI agent. So our OneCloud AI agent is an agent that can essentially sit on the edge of your phone system and take all of your inbound calls. And by that, essentially, somebody calls in, you can train that agent a little bit about your company, and it can answer some general questions. It can triage information. As the person calling in have an urgent matter, or is it something that's not as urgent? And then it can take that information and either route you to the appropriate department or maybe even the appropriate person who can handle that. I'm going to share that real quick. Make sure I do the right one. So this is just a quick snapshot of what our agents look like. And essentially the way that you train it and does most of the work for you. Now there's some back-end work that's got to be done to make sure that the prompts are correct. But essentially you'll enter in your company website. When you enter in your company website and submit, essentially the AI will go out and scan your website. It will do a very deep dive. So it's going to dig in. It's going to look at all of your resources. It's going to look at your history, your hours of operation, the individuals in your organization, the services that you provide, as much as it can possibly glean off of your site and populate that and learn from that. You'll also put in some extension information. Now, if you were utilizing a OneCloud AI agent, of course, we're going to walk you through that process, especially during the setup phase. You'll give it a name and you'll give it some basic information, such as, how do you want us to answer the call and what type of greeting? And then you give it a voice and then you hit submit. When you do, it goes out, as I said, scans your website and populates a lot of information. So it's going to populate what is your company about. It's going to identify what your hours of operation are. It's going to tell you what those services are. In this case, I did it kind of quick, but you can populate a lot of information and have it all built automatically. So the training part of getting it up to speed is really, really quite awesome. And then from there, you need to train that bot or train that agent how it should speak. right? So when somebody calls in and it's talking to that particular agent, do you want it to be short and sweet in communication, or do you want it to ramble on forever about something? Do you want it to be rude and brash? Do you want it to, you know, do you want it to kind of have, be short with somebody? Like there's all kinds of different ways that you can train what type of behavior that you would want with it. But additionally, it's important that you can put in things like fail safes, or maybe a customer calls in and they don't know what they need. It can ask a series of questions to qualify or get to know that customer better. Some of the other things that it can do maybe is lead generation, or let's say even schedule an appointment. Now, there's a lot of integration that goes into some scheduling of appointments. A lot of times nowadays, what's happening is, let's say you use Calendly, or let's say Zoho, you have a booking link. So what you can tell that AI agent is, if somebody asks to schedule an appointment, send a booking link. It will send that booking link, and that customer will now be able to click on that link via email or SMS and schedule their appointment. So at the edge, the AI agent is really awesome for handling and mitigating a lot of those basic questions, and routing those calls to to appropriate departments. And then from there, it can get a little bit crazier with integrations into what it can do. So there's a lot that goes into it, and it can do a lot. But out of the box, really simple. It can take a lot of your calls, sound awesome, and get people where they need to go more efficiently. Let me reshare one more time here. Here's my slide. All right. Moving on from there to close this out, OneCloud integrations built around you. So we have a lot of different integrations. This is a gray area because there are so much, and it can be hard to understand what all of these integrations do. And an integration is essentially a way to tie your communications platform, such as OneCloud, into things like your CRM. So a very simple example would be, our OneCloud integrator, which would essentially log every phone call that you have into a CRM. You don't need a contact center. You don't need OneCloud CX. You don't need anything fancy. If you are a OneCloud modern user on our UCaaS platform and you use Salesforce, or you use ServiceNow, or ServiceTitan, or HubSpot, or Zoho, or Microsoft Dynamics. Essentially, we would be able to enable an integration for you, and then anytime that a phone call comes in, it would automatically place a footprint of that call directly into your CRM with time, date, a link to call recording, and then for some additional cost, you can have things like summary transcription or AI transcription, where it could take that whole conversation, summarize it, and place it as a note directly in your CRM, and it's done automatically. Nobody has to do anything. Nobody has to touch anything or log anything. It's all done seamlessly behind the scenes. And as I mentioned, you have screen pop within OneCloud Connect. I can make it super simple, where every time a call comes in, I might want to Google my number, get a separate screen pop, or dump it directly into HubSpot, pop a contact card. And we also do things like Salesforce integration. We do have a native Salesforce integration where you live and breathe within Salesforce. You have a dialer. You're able to log in and out of your call queues. And then when a call ends, you would associate the contact name, if not already populated, what it's related to. So it could be an activity or an opportunity. You can set a disposition, put in your notes, and hit submit, and it automatically updates everything for you within Salesforce. So maybe your reps who might be in sales never have to leave that environment. So a lot of different ways to mix and match it depending on what you need. But again, out of the box, OneCloud modern users get a lot of integrations into their CRMs and different tools. With that said, and to close this out, I just wanted to talk real quick about what a transition looks like. So a transition would be, hey, I'm interested in your POTS replacement. Hey, I'm interested in OneCloud CX, or tell me more about that alert blast. Every deployment is a little bit different, but we like to treat them the same way. So, out of the gate, depending on what you need, let's say you're doing a POTS replacement, that could be pretty interesting, right? There's a lot of places those lines can reside, a lot of facilities, and a lot of ground to cover. So we start with an assessment phase. Generally, that would be one of our installation techs, or maybe engineering or sales engineering involved, to look at the environment. what are you dealing with? What is your hardware? Is anything needed? Does anything need to, um, uh, work together, such as paging systems, things like that. And then after that, you go to a planning phase. Planning is where you're just going to develop your scope of work, or SOP, and develop what that plan is going to look like and each stage of the process. From there, you move on to deployment. Now, this whole time, you are working with a projects team who will be your centralized point of contact. And if I say so myself, we've got a pretty awesome projects team that will help you understand every step of every phase. During deployment, they'll do the installation, test everything while going live, and you will be informed the whole entire time of everything that is occurring. Could be porting, could be switching things over, but at the same time, prior to or doing or during, you will receive training. That training can either be virtual or it could be in person. Personally, a fan of the in person, but really depends on your organizational needs. And if you navigate over to YouTube and check out OneCloud, or even check out our knowledge base, we have a plethora of information. And lastly is fast tracking deployment. So in cases of emergencies, we can spin things up really, really, really quickly. Just a simple case there, we did have somebody who was an IT guy at a assisted living community. The carrier actually cut off their analog lines. They had no alarms or fire notifications at all in an assisted living community. They reached out to us, and within 24 hours, we were able to get a device program on site, up and running with very, very minimal downtime. If they had had to rely on any other carrier to do that, that time would have been greatly, greatly increased and could put a lot of people at risk. Media nightmare right there. So, with that said, a lot of information that I covered. I know that many of you have been to this before, but if you're new and you want to know more than happy to hear your questions. So with that said, if you look down at the bottom of your screen, there should be a little hand. Raise your hand. Somebody will unmute you, and I will answer whatever I can. With that said, I'll go ahead and open it up for questions. Go for it, Rudy.
Hey, so I did have a question. A lot of great information. I may have just want to make sure I understood the POTS line replacement correctly. Is
Mhm.
that powered over internet or is that over a wireless signal or a
You
cellular
have
signal?
both. You have both. So if you need to put it on your LAN, you certainly can. Um, you also have the LTE if needed. Generally, in some of those environments, power goes out or certain things like that.
Mhm.
Having the LTE is a huge benefit. But if you wanted it to go over LAN WAN, you certainly could. The power would
Okay,
just
yep.
be a basic power supply to plug it in.
Gotcha. That was going to be my next question. If it had LTE backup, because I know that's a big plus or was a big winning point for me with previous companies. And my
Yep.
last question is on the OneCloud mobile.
Mhm.
Like when I was with Spectrum Business, we piggybacked off Verizon. Who do we piggyback off of?
Great question. We use multiple different carriers. I would say the primary backbone is going to be AT&T, but that can
Okay.
vary.
Okay, just wanted to know because I know another selling point I would use is say they were using AT&T. It's like we can provide the exact same service but a much better cost. So it only made
100%.
business sense. Okay,
Yep.
cool. That's all I had. Thank you.
Yeah, no worries, man. Thanks for the questions. And as I said, I definitely want to get some time with you here in the near future just to make sure that you have everything that you need. But again, thanks for those questions.
No problem. Excited. Thank you.
Anybody else? All right. Well, as usual, a recording of this webinar and any additional resources will be shared soon. Again, I appreciate all of you for taking the time to join me today. Some of you have heard this a few times, so I really appreciate it. Um, but outside of that, if you need anything, you got any questions, feel free to hit me up. Oh, hold on. Or maybe, Jamelin, did you want to speak or did you accidentally raise your hand?
I was trying to send you some hearts and some love. Thank you,
I love
Ben.
it. I appreciate it. All right. Well, I
Problem.
hope all of you have a wonderful day. And again, thanks for joining me.
Thank you.
Bye now.